Welcome to Just Wanna Quilt, a research podcast coming out of Tulane University Law School, where we explore all kinds of things, stories about quilting, tools, field trips, maybe some famous quilters stop by, and, of course, a little bit of copyright thrown in just for fun. This is Elizabeth Townsend-Gard, your host, and I'm a law professor at Tulane University Law School and a faculty fellow at the A.B. Friedman School of Business at Tulane. And I just want to quilt. So today we talk to two people, Jessica Veeder of Jessica Quilter and Willow Olson. And this is a conversation about our new project, the Inventory Quilt Project, which I think is going to go on for a while, and we're going to explain it. It starts October 15th. We're getting ready for it, and we're announcing it on October 1st, 2019, the Inventory Project. Come join in. So we start our conversation with Willow Olson, who's going to be a captain of our inventory project. And we're waiting, and soon we get joined by Jessica. Jessica is our inspiration, is our muse, is why we started the inventory project. And a quick shout out to AccuQuilt, who is our main sponsor of this project. Thank you so much for being willing to play, and we'll talk more about that soon.
Right.
So for the inventory, while we're waiting, so what we're doing... Inventory Quilt Project. How are you explaining the Inventory Quilt Project to people? How would you describe it?
Well, okay, so there's a few different ways, and I'm going to post it on different days, I think. But basically, using what you currently have in your inventory and either making something out of your, say you want to use your Christmas fabrics or your novelties or your solids or your certain designer. And then saying, well, now you have all these scraps from quilts that you've already made. You could also make like a memory inventory quilt of quilts you've already made. You have a little remnant of it. And there's, that you could use. Yeah. And I'm going to post pictures. I've been collecting pictures here and there. And, I'll tag all the people who made them, but saying, giving people ideas. You can do it with squares. You can do it with scraps and make it modern. You can, using Jessica's, you make a hexagon.
Right.
So something like that. That's the direction.
And
giving people the freedom and the creativity to pull together.
So this idea started that Jessica Quilter, who's supposed to be joining us but hasn't shown up yet, which is totally okay. Yeah. She made this quilt that she called an inventory quilt, where she took one little piece of each fabric and made it into hexes while she was waiting for her kids around town. And it's like rainbow, and it's really variegated, and it's really, 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 really pretty, right? It's just so pretty.
Gorgeous.
So I'm not patient enough to do the hexes, so I did 3 inches. And then you said, I want to do one too. And then we sort of, once I got done with the first one, which hasn't been quilted yet, I was like, I want to do more inventory quilts, because it was so much fun to be able to go look through your stash and be like, oh, I want to do one olive tula, or I want to do a red one, or I want to try this new dye that does this. And so you suggested that we contact AccuQuilt and see if they wanted to be a sponsor, and they did. So I'm so excited about this. And so you're going to lead us through kind of thinking through it. The first part we're going to do is using the AccuQuilt dies and doing all kinds of different inventory quilts using those dies. If you don't have AccuQuilt dies, you can use any shape. We're just sort of exploring and experiencing this. And they were very kind and sent us systems to explain, like for you and for me to do this. So you're going to help us think through how to use these systems for our inventory projects. And then, which I'm super psyched about. And I really don't know. I can't wait for you to be like, okay, we're going to use the tumbler, or we're going to use this. What are we going to do with it? Because I am really confused on how to use these dies to make quilts, which I know is kind of stupid, but I really am kind of like a little intimidated by the whole thing. So I'm psyched that you're going to take us through it, which is super
I am so excited to use the half hexagon. The half square triangle one with my solids. Because the dog ears, it's already trimmed. The corners are trimmed.
You think it's going to be
there should not be?
Because I hate triangles because they're so hard.
I do too. Yes, I'm worried about pulling on the bias, but I am going to do the a leader and ender with each of them. So maybe I'll get like 2 quilts sewn at once. So if I'm putting through a couple of squares first, Then I'm going to put in the triangle so that it doesn't get pulled under, you know, into the feed dogs.
Yeah.
And what I'm looking forward to is not having to trim them when I'm done.
Yeah.
That they'll all be the right size.
Perfect. Right.
So that's
okay.
that's what
So
I'm excited to
I'm
try.
psyched about that. I'm psyched that you're going to help me figure out what that means, like which dyes, and help us learn about the different dyes.
Okay.
Then after we get through AccuQuilt, we're going to do a little bit of AccuQuilt. We're going to start probably, we don't know when, because we don't want to be that organized. But we're going to start to talk to other pattern makers and designers and feature sort of their patterns that are great for inventory quilts, and also have them make an inventory quilt themselves using their pattern. So I'm super psyched about that too. Yeah. I don't know. It's just going to be, I mean, I just think it's really, I don't know why. I mean, it's better than stash, like using your stash. I don't know why the concept of inventory quilt makes me so happy, but it does. I feel like I clean when I'm making them too. I like reorganize, regroup. I don't know.
Yes. Yeah, well, I'm looking forward to having the quilt available to see without having to dig through my bins.
Yeah, this is good.
You know, because it's just like, oh yeah, I have that forgotten piece of fabric. And
you do see stuff. The other thing is, I feel like when I did the first I felt like it was a snapshot of my stash right then and there. Like I added stuff to it, so now my inventory quilt will look different, but it's like a snapshot of like, this is what might look like in the summer of 2019. What I think is kind of cool. But I also feel like there are so many fabrics I really love, but I never get around to using. And so this allows me to use them and love them without having to commit more than just a square.
Yes. Yes. It's like you're not using up the whole piece. It's not your favorite piece, you know, piece of fabric that you never want to use because you want to, you know, save it for just admiring. But just that little square of it, you can, I can part with a square and see it. And then I think it'll get us to use the piece instead of just storing it.
And Jessica is running a bit behind, but she said she's coming. So let's keep chatting.
I think I heard her buzz in.
There she is. Hey, Jessica.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good.
Hi.
We are so, and Willow's here too. Let's officially, so that my students don't freak out, now that you're here, can you each tell me who you are and where you're calling from, and then we'll talk more about the inventory quilt thing.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm Jessica Veeder, and I'm calling from Lexington, Kentucky.
Awesome.
I'm Willow Olson, and I'm calling from Greenville, New York.
Awesome. And I'm Elizabeth, and I'm here in New Orleans. So we fell madly in love with your inventory quilt that you posted on Instagram, as you know. I just am obsessed with it in like the most amazing way. It's so beautiful and so cool.
Thank you.
Thank
you.
Yeah, hugely, right? Like, let's just pause there. It's so pretty.
Yeah, it's gorgeous.
Thanks.
So much of what you do is really cool. So if people want to look at your stuff and you've got patterns, you're at JessicaQuilter.com. Is that right?
Yes, that's correct.
Right. And it's Quilter, ER, JessicaQuilter.com.
Yeah.
And you tell us, we've interviewed you before, but for those that don't know that interview, just tell us a little bit about sort of, you're a designer, you have a lot of interesting patterns. You've got great ideas. Like, that's like the most amazing thing about you. You come up with these amazing ideas that are like out of the, like, you know, is it out of the box or out of the frame or whatever it
Random.
is. Random. But really, really cool ideas. So let me get to you.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you for having me on, by the way. And hello, Willow. Nice to meet you finally.
You as well, yes.
So, yeah, I kind of just fell into pattern writing, as we talked about before with the Selvage Bookshelf Quilt. And I like to make. And so sometimes I make something purposefully because I know that people will want to do it and it's fun and I want to share it. Mm-hmm. And sometimes I make and I start it and I think, oh, this might be a good pattern. And then I just dump it and it's not a pattern. I just kind of tell people what to do, which is kind of what happened with the inventory quilt.
Right.
So it's not necessarily pattern worthy as far as I'm concerned. It's the idea sharing that we had talked about before.
Exactly. This idea.
So,
this
inspirational.
And what I think is really interesting about you is that you do have these, I mean, I do think like the ideas are so important. We have another person, Ann Wasserman, who does a refrigerator quilts. So she takes a snapshot of her refrigerator and all the things that are on it and recreates it in a quilt.
Oh, that's
Cool is that,
fantastic.
right? I know.
Very
I
cool.
love
Let's look that one up.
I love it, right? Because you're like, there's a snapshot of my life, right? Like, here's when my kids were in second grade or whatever.
Right.
Yeah, and she scans in the stuff and puts it onto the quilt. So it's like all the papers and all the stuff. Yeah, it's really cool.
That's so cool.
I know, right? And so what I thought was really interesting about your website is that you also have things like the quilt. How do you say it? Quiltographer, like the the map with the quilt stuff. But then you put it at a really reasonable price because it's not like the map itself it's that you're showing them how to use the techniques.
Yes, I struggled with that because again, it was the idea, but yet there was more to it than what I felt I could just share in a couple of posts to walk people through the process.
Yeah.
And while you're not purchasing the map, which is a very big part of the conversations I have about that pattern, it's a process pattern. And so it's more, my patterns are really more like written tutorials.
Yeah.
And while I'm not a blogger, it's kind of like as if I did blog and then printed it out. And that's kind of how my patterns are done, more conversational. And so, yeah, the quiltographer, again, just came about from a crazy idea. I bought this enormous map and I chopped it up and created this beautiful scrappy panel and then just followed along with each of the islands and every little tiny bit of that map got put into the fabric.
I think, for me at least, I want to try it with the Inventory Quilt Project, which we'll talk about in just a minute because it's just so I will definitely be downloading that soon. So your quilt inspired me. I talked to you. I'm like, let's make this. I posted it, and then Willow was like, I want to do that too. So it turned into like a movement. Have other people also been like obsessed with it like we are? Did the Inventory Quilt sort of produce other people that were like, I have to do that too?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I get a lot of private messages asking about if I want to make an inventory quilt, do I have to make hexagons? And the answer is always no. You don't have to do anything you don't want to do. There's no rules. There's no quilt police. I'm not going to scold you. The idea is just to preserve your precious stash that you have worked so hard to purchase and buy. And so many times, if you're like me, a lot of times the quilts that I make either are for sale or they get given away. And so then there goes your beautiful fabric that you have bought. And then it's like, oh, I'm really sad. All I have left is like a selvage, or I only have left is a little snippet. And so the idea is before you even enter into that giving away or selling of that, you just preserve it in whatever fashion you want, a 2.5-inch square, a hexagon as I did, any size, any shape, any pattern really. But the idea is just to take a little bit of everything you have to keep it as your own personal memory quilt. And then it ends up just so pretty because there's all different things you could do,
Right. I just totally love it. Okay, so a couple of questions for you. So we're about to get started.
Yeah.
We're super excited about it. And we wanted to, I think you already said yes, but officially we'd love for you to be one of our sponsors. And obviously you are like our, I don't know what you are. You're like our inspiration. You're like the whole reason we're doing
definitely.
it, right? So we want to know, how can we help to promote you in our ridiculous project? And what are your thoughts about like groups like us that are like become kind of groupies?
Oh, well, that's just fantastic. I love that. Just have you all over and we'll just have some coffee, and that would be so fun. I love this idea of you doing this. I'm so excited that other people are going to want to do what I did, because it was a little crazy in the beginning, the idea of preserving my stash, but I convinced myself that this was really important to me, and so therefore I just dove in, and like we talked about before. And I would just love for people to maybe be pointed to the Instagram world. I'm not a Facebook person, and so I love the idea of Facebook groups. I wish there was a way that could be implemented into Instagram, but I'm so deep into that the idea of
Yeah.
another social media platform for me is
Yeah.
my brain can't handle it. I am.
Well, we will definitely get your name out on Facebook because I think that's super important. And we'll also try to migrate ours over to Instagram. We have some Instagram stuff going on, but we haven't been as active there. So I think it's a good crossover.
I'll be posting on both.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think
I think a lot of times people do the following of the hashtag. And so if you introduce it as a way of like, hey, if you want to follow along on Instagram, go to hashtag inventory quilt. And then it can just all be kind of collected there. And then they can follow that hashtag. And I think that would be probably the only way that there's really groups, so to speak, on Instagram is by following a hashtag. So,
true.
Yeah.
And what other hashtags do you use? Do you also use Jessica Quilter as a hashtag?
I do if it's something that I have created on my own, or if it's one of my own patterns. I'm kind of weird about that. I feel like, I'm not going to make, a pattern from Zen Chic and use her fabric and then hashtag my own name because it's not really anything to do with myself.
Right.
So I like to make sure that it's easy for me to find my things by going into Jessica Quilter and I find the things I'm looking for there. But I use a lot of the names of the fabric that I use only because a lot of times people will write and say, what's that fabric? Yeah. And if I've hashtagged it, Tilda Fabrics or Tula Pink or whatever the fabric is, they can find it easily.
Got it. One of the thoughts I had, and Willow's, we're happy that Willow likes Instagram, so that helps a lot.
Yay.
And we'll have to get you access to our account, so remind me to do that.
Yeah.
But one of the thoughts I had was, since we're going to be, one of the hashtags I thought about was like a JWQ loves quilt, loves hashtag. So JWQ loves Jessica Quilter, JWQ loves Tula, whatever it is that we're doing, so that you could, I want to make sure that you still get credit for what we're doing so that people know that it started with you. And so, what do you think of that?
Yeah, that would be great.
Yeah,
that would be great. And anything that has to do with the inventory quilt, I use just hashtag inventory quilt. So that would be good. And like you said, putting the JWQ before, I do that a lot of times. So I'll put JQ before whatever it is. So that way I can find things easily. I think that's a great idea. Yeah.
Cool. So anytime that we're, so I think that's super awesome. Okay. So we are super excited about this. Do you, I know you don't have an inventory quilt pattern at this moment. We're just going to go with it. If you do put one up, will you let us know so we can direct people there so they can pay the $5 and all that?
Okay, well, actually what I ended up doing was I put it into my stories. It's in the saved story bubbles at the top of my Instagram feed.
On your Instagram feed,
and yes, so there's like the little circle bubbles. It's the saved stories, and it says inventory quilt, and it has a picture of the quilt. And then at the very first screen, it says, get ready to take screenshots. And so people can go through each of the slide and take a screenshot and follow along with what to do. And there are steps that will walk them through that. I can put that in a post also if it makes it easier for people to slide the screen across, if that makes it easier.
That sounds great.
Okay.
So it's all written down on the Instagram stories, and I can put it in my feed as well so people can locate it easily.
Cool. And my entrepreneurial hat says, if you get a chance and put it into something that's downloadable, we'll let people know so they can go to your site.
Okay.
So,
I can do that.
Yeah, that would be super great. And then, so our plan is to post this. Willow, again, you want to sort of explain? So we're starting with Jessica Quilter. We totally love what you did. And then we're just exploding it in lots of different ways. So Willow, do you want to explain one more time to people? It doesn't cost anything to do it, right? You can go and
correct. It's a free quilt along.
Free quilt along, and you don't have to buy anything because the whole point is like you don't have to buy anything.
Right.
Although I have to say, when I did my inventory quote, I realized I had so little brown that I couldn't even make a row. So I bought some. I bought some more brown.
Enabler.
I found out I have 2 pieces of orange fabric. That's it.
That's
2 pieces. I'm like, how is that possible?
I like that.
So I do want to go build my stash up some more. My inventory.
Right, exactly. Yeah. You're like, wow.
You're welcome.
I guess I use it all up when I do use it. So.
Yeah.
Oh, very
Like, oh
funny.
my word.
That's great.
And well, I'm at your Instagram right now, Jessica, and your new stuff is so
Okay.
cool. The rainbow
Thanks.
and 1970s things. Gosh, they're
Yes, that is our solid 7 B that I'm in, and there's 7 of us, and we use the 7 colors of the rainbow and only solid fabrics, and we create blocks based on a prompt for whoever is the queen bee for that month. They choose a prompt, and then you are free reign. There's only a couple little rules that the person will give, and you just go for it and create a block. And so this month October is our friend Ellen Z, and she chose 1970s, and I was like all in with the rainbow. I
so
just
great.
went
It's
crazy.
so cute.
I was so excited.
Well, I am a super fan. I think your stuff is just so cool, and the way your brain thinks, I just love it. And
Thank you.
we have no idea how long this inventory quilt project is going to be, and we don't care. And we've got a sponsor on board right now, but we're going to try to do more sponsorship to sort of experience that. We haven't done that before. And I don't know. We need a title for who you are. You're like our whatever. We need a sort of like
inspirer, or maybe enabler would be better.
You're our enabler.
You're low on your
you are
you go
our
shopping. You're welcome.
Definitely. It has become my obsession, so.
Yeah, it's pretty
so
great.
Well, if anybody has any questions, they can always message me on Instagram. My email is jessicaquilter@gmail.com. I mean,
It's so great.
Hey.
It's so cool. You're the coolest. I thank you for
Awesome.
letting us play and being willing to be part of this. This is really nice. And again, we're just excited to be making these. So we're gonna we let them know we officially start October 15th, but we're posting on October 1st all about the project. And then we are going to Willow's going to start. We're going to see what happens, and so we're just going to.
Okay. Well, let me know if you need anything. I'm excited. This is so much fun. I can't wait to see what people make.
I know. I can't either. Awesome. Well, thank you so much. Willow, do you have any questions?
You're welcome.
Thank you. I would just tell people to start gathering your fabrics, whether they're solids or novelties or holiday, or just gathering your stash or your scraps, and get ready to start percolating your ideas.
Yeah, I think the 2 things I heard people say is like, oh, I don't want to cut into all my fabric, but you get to decide what you do. Like, who cares? Like, you don't have to cut into something
do it.
you want to. That's
do it. It could be a 2-inch piece, you know?
Yes.
And then the other one I heard is, my stash is way too big, which is braggy, but my stash is way too big. I couldn't possibly make one, but you don't have to use all of your stash. So you could do it by
you don't.
Do it by color. Like
you could do a
No
theme.
rules.
Yeah. Absolutely.
You can do an inventory of all your blues if you wanted to.
Right. Exactly. I love that idea.
So, or an inventory of all your solids, or
and it's important.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Go ahead. I was going to say it's important too for people to understand that when I did my inventory quilt, pre-cuts did not get cut. I get asked that a lot. I did not break into the jelly rolls and the charm packs and I didn't do any of those pre-cuts into the inventory quilt. We're talking fat quarters and up with my inventory quilt. So, and there wasn't anything that I didn't put in there as far as fat quarter and up.
Yeah.
So just a little tiny piece, it's not going to hurt, I promise. Yeah. It's actually really fun, and it's really, really quite addictive once you get started. So
really addictive, yes. And then the last part for me is that for those listening on the copyright side, so Jessica had this great idea. It may or may not have happened before her, but she had this idea. Ideas are not protectable. And so what we're really trying to do is recognize that we love Jessica's idea and her quilt. And so we are trying to make sure that even though it's not protectable by copyright, that we have right of attribution, that we send people to your site, that we include you, that you're the originator of that. And that's just good form. It's not about law, right? And so we have to understand that that's what we do. That is, we want to be better than the law. Because we could just right? We could just take it and be like, oh, we're going to do inventory quilt. But it's more to include you and to be excited and to be your super fan group. And that's kind of why we're doing that.
I love that. And I so appreciate you being clear about that, because it's just, in my perspective, it's just about sharing. This is basic kindergarten ideas. Just share. And I mean, I love when people say, hey, great idea, or well, thanks for the inspiration. There's nothing better than a thank you. There really isn't. But I'm just so excited to see what people create. It's so much fun to watch what people's brains come up with. It's so cool. So I'm just really excited that you've included me in this. Thank you so much.
Oh, well, thank you. It's going to be fun. We'll keep you posted. And we launch this coming week, which is amazing. I think Willow's like, I can't believe we're finally launching.
Yeah. Well, great. That's awesome.
All right. Well, thank you again for joining us. I really do appreciate it. And you're cool with us posting this?
Absolutely.
Awesome. Fabulous. So Willow, stay online to make sure we do a couple logistics before we go. But thank you again, Jessica. I really, really appreciate your spending time with us.
Oh, you're so welcome. And thank you so much. It was great to talk with you guys.
It's very
You
cool.
as well.
Take care.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
All right, Willow. So any last thoughts to people listening about, let's do first thing. 1, what is an inventory quilt?
It's just the items that you want to use that you already own, taking either a square or a hexagon or just a snippet of your fabric stash.
And it's sort of looking at, for me at least, first of all, it's folding things better. That would be my sort of thing.
Yes.
Like
I totally refolded and got bins and color sorted my stash, my inventory when I was planning for this.
I would say it makes cleaning fun. That would be my, and it can be anything you want. So
yes, absolutely. Also, your creativity's where it goes.
Right. And it's really for you. You can give them away or keep them, whatever. And then along the way, we're going to be having people come by like this. You and I will chat with them, and we'll keep doing this until we don't want to do it. Does that sound like a good plan?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Sounds
awesome.
Great.
I'm really excited. Thanks for being our captain, Willow.
Oh, you're most welcome. It's my pleasure.
We need to get you a captain hat.
Oh, yes.
I don't know what that looks like.
I'll have to ask my dad. He used to be a captain.
Yeah. Very cool.
Yes.
So we start October 1st. If you're listening to this and it's way past October 1st, 2019, we are likely still doing it. So come to our website, go to the Facebook group. Do we want to start a separate Facebook group for this? Do you think? We did for Gypsy Wife. Do we want a special kind of smaller group or not? Do we know?
I know originally we planned just to do it within the group, but if we want to form a separate group, we can do that as well. I know I'll be posting on Instagram, and that'll be at Bearpaw _stitch design, and also
let's keep it in the big group until it sees. Yeah, because it will automatically do it. Okay, cool. And then what we're going to use, just because it might be helpful to others, we have a program that we're using called Later. Do you use Later? It's an app.
I don't. I am familiar with it. I have it. I just haven't used it.
Okay, well, we'll do it. So we'll get you set up on ours so that you can post and have it all there and be able to post on ours. So we'll get that all organized. For those listening, obviously you can post on Instagram just directly, but there's also resources that allow you to post to do. It's nice because you can schedule them, but you can also have a whole set of hashtags. So you just have to put it in once, which is really great. And you can keep it all organized that way. And also if like Willow has something and she's not sure about it, she can draft it and then send me an email or a message to say, hey, will you take a look at this post? So it's a really nice way to keep things organized and usable. So
very good.
We'll use Later as our app. For we just pay it regularly. They're not a sponsor. We should get them to be a sponsor. But, I'm all about the FTC stuff. So I'm like, we paid for this. We didn't pay for this. We paid for this. We didn't pay for this. It's ridiculous.
It's good to be clear.
Very clear. Sometimes I feel like when we pay for things like that's like, I'm like, look, I paid for this. Like,
well, then you really back it. It's like,
exactly.
It's like, I like this so much that I'm actually going to purchase it.
Exactly. When I was talking to AccuQuilt, to the reps at AccuQuilt, because they had sent us stuff, I'm like, yes, but I bought the glorified 9-patch one because I wanted it. They're like, we could have sent it to you. I'm like, I know, but I wanted to buy it. Like, I wanted to buy it. That I wanted to put my dollars where I really care about it. So,
right.
So I don't know. It's a really weird world we live in, where it's all like, the other thing is you have no obligation. So I felt like since I bought the glorified 9-patch, when they just came out, if it was really crappy, like I didn't have any obligation to them. I could have just been quietly like, okay, I didn't work for me. I'm not going to,
right.
It's different when people, I mean, it's really nice. So I'm not saying it's like kind of being obnoxious, right? I'm not like, I don't want to, I love when people send us stuff, and I love sending out stuff to people. I send stuff out to people all the time. But it's also nice to be able to have enough money to buy it yourself too,
Yeah. Well, it's nice when they send you things and you're able to use it and really see what you think of it. And
yeah.
Yeah,
I think, and the last thing is I'm kind of amazed. We're going to post with this also the 2 AccuQuilt interviews that we did. I'm kind of amazed that I like it as much as I do. So
yeah.
I didn't realize how much my cutting was messing up my quilting, and that's taken it out as a factor, and that's kind of remarkable. So
I'm looking forward to the getting items cut faster.
No, it's like,
so you
it's
can get
not even
the quantity of it.
So it used to be like, if you were going to do a quilt for me, it would take like a lot of time to cut them out, and then you had to see if they were actually right. And this is like seconds. This is not like, the cutting part isn't even part of the equation anymore. And that's sort of, to me, is a thing, that it's, I mean, at some point I told the AccuQuilt people, I just wanted to cut stuff. I didn't really even want to make them quilt them. I was just like, I want to cut more things. Cause it's so nice. So, and it's something that's, I think, really cool, is that like you can share the dies with friends, right? So Joel has dies that she's purchased, so she brought them over, and so did Judy, and like we could swap dies, and that's totally legal in terms of copyright.
Yeah.
And it's nice.
You can have an AccuQuilt party.
Yeah, have an AccuQuilt party, exactly. So anyway, I don't know. Anything else to add before we depart?
No, kickoff is the first, just for the announcement, and we have some time before we start, so it's just time to gather fabrics and prep them.
Cool.
So,
awesome.
And then since it's ongoing, there's no rush. There's not a deadline. So that's...
Yeah, there's no rush.
Right.
I'm so excited. I really, really have all these ideas of how I want to do. I think it's just going to be a gazillion inventory quilts. Like, I really do want to see what a quilt looks like of my red versus my blue, which I have 3 tubs of blue. So, I mean, I think that just thinking through what it is will be really fun. And also the designers really coming on. I think that will be really fun too.
Yeah, it'll be neat to see, instead of just using, 3-4 colors for somebody's quilt, that they're using just a whole slew of them for their pattern.
Yeah. So cool. Well, Willow, thank you so much for being our captain and being part of this. I'm going to turn off the recording. Hold on. And are you okay with us posting this?
Absolutely. Yes. Thank you, Alyssa.
Fabulous. All right, cool. So a short time after we ended the interview, Jessica did something amazing for us. She made us a 1-page PDF that is the essence of what she posted on Instagram. We are posting that in the files of our our Facebook page and on our website. So you can go to our general Facebook page, which is JustWannaQuilt. We also have a special group, JWQ Inventory Quilt. And also you could find this file on www.JustWannaQuilt.com. I hope you join us. I think it's going to be fun. Again, we're posting this on October 1st or 2nd, and we're officially beginning October 15th. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us. So you've been listening to Just Wanna Quilt, a research podcast coming out of Tulane University Law School, and I'm Elizabeth Townsend Gard. If you like this podcast, keep listening. Also, we have a Facebook group. Come join us. We talk about a lot of things. We also have an Instagram account. And of course, most importantly, I really hope you get a chance to quilt today.